Chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Purushottama Yoga, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. So I'm going to share my screen as well, so everyone can see the shlokas from here. Okay, so we'll get started with the. I can start and then the devotees can read. Kṛṣṇa Mataji can read, and then Sujaya Mataji can read, and Vijaya Mataji can also read. And maybe if you want to join from your phone, then there everyone can read one or two shlokas. You can just pass your phone. One phone is fine. अथ पञ्चदशाध्यायः श्रीभगवान् उवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." अथश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतस्तस्य शाखा गुणा प्रवृद्धा विषया प्रवाला अधश्च मूलानि अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धिनी मनुष्यलोके. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
Hare Krishna. Tanvatanam to all devotees. Shloka number 3 and Narupam seha tat uppalabhyate nanto nachardin cha sampratishta ashvattamenam suvirudha mula masanga shastrena dridhena chitva tataham tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuya tamev chatyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasata purani. Translation: the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends and where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree, and with the weapon of detachment, therefore, one must seek the place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 5. Nirmana mohajita sanga dosha adhatmanita pinibrita kamaha dandavir vimukta sukha dukkha samjayer gachanti amudha padam abhayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Text 6. Na tad vashyate surya na shashanka na pavakaha yad gatta na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Translation: that supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. ममैवासो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनसस्थानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. The living entities in this conditioned world are my internal fragmental parts due to condition, like they are struggling very hard with the sixth sense, which including the mind. Sariram yad vaproti yacchatyukramitisvarah gruhitvaitani shanyati vayurgandha vinashayat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conception of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Number next 9. Sloka 9. Srotram sparshanam cha rasanam grahame eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam visayan upasvate.
The living entity thus taking another gross body. The living entity thus taking another gross body obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped above the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Utkaramantam stitam vapi Bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimura nanu paschanti gnanachakshusha.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
You want to read or you want me to read the sloka?
You can use.
Okay. Yatanto yogina chainam pashyanti atmaya avastitam yatanto pya akrutmano nainam pashyanti acetasha. Read the translation.
The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in life realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Review. Next. Number 12. Yeah. Not now. Next week. Prabhuji, you want to read 12? Yeah.
Yad aditya gatam teho jagat bhasayate kilam yak chandramasi yak chagnao tat teho vidhi mamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. Hare Krishna.
30.
Okay. Gamma visyacha bhutani tarayami aham ojasha pushnami chashadhi sarva soma bhutva rasatmaka. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
You want to try this? 14?
Right here.
Aham Vaishnavaru Bhuvata Praninam Teham Astritya Yukta Pranapama Samayukta Bachami Anam Chaturvidam. I am the fire of this digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of food stuff.
Good job. 15 you can read.
Okay. Sarvasya charam riti sannivishta madgat smritim jnana pohanam cha vedescha sarve ahameva vedya vedanta krit veda vyachaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Good.
Number 16. Dvau imau purushau loke Kshara eva cha Kshara sarvani bhutani Kutasto Kshara uchyate.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Ekant Prabhu, you want to read?
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Uttamaha Purushatva Anyah Paramatmeya Udhartaha Yo Loka Trayam Avishya Bibhartya Avyaha Ishwaraha. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supersoul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharad apicho tamaha atosmi loke vedasya pratitaha purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as a supreme person. Can you stop, Prabhu?
Sure. Nandini Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Yo mamevam asammudha janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. O son of Bharata, iti guyatamam shastram idam uktam maya nagha etad buddha buddhimana styat kritakritasya Bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. Om Tat Sat iti Śrīmad-Bhagavatam Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyam Yam Yoga Shastre Shri Kṛṣṇa Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yoga Nama Panchadasho Adhyayaha. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta translations to the 15th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhagavad in the matter of yoga of the Supreme Person.
Thank you so much, Taji. Thank you everyone for so nicely reading this wonderful chapter. in the auspicious month of Purushottama, and this whole chapter is entitled Purushottam Yoga, which basically tells that the real home is not this world. This world is compared to a hotel where we don't spend a lot of time. We go and check in a hotel for 2 days or 2 weeks or so, and then we move on. Similarly, to back to our real home. Similarly, this material world is a place of temporary residence. We all know for sure that we will not be here forever. So similarly, an intelligent person is one, as mentioned, who takes to the message of scriptures and takes shelter of the Supreme Lord and goes back to real home, which is spiritual world. And how can that be possible? By taking shelter of Purushottama, the Supreme Person who is called Purusha Uttama, the best amongst the men. So that's the very brief nutshell this chapter. So we will now study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narnarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. The two verses or Purushottamas?
Yeah.
Sing.
Gurave
Govardhana.
Govardhanadharam Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulatravame Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam Vande Navaghana Dvibhujam Muralidharam Pitambaradaram Devam Sharadham Purushottamam.
Very nice. So, welcome everyone to this reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is non-different from Kṛṣṇa. When Kṛṣṇa went back to his home, his abode, of course everything is Krishna's, but he went back to spiritual world, he put all his divine qualities, everything is manifested. Bhagavatam is non-different from Kṛṣṇa. So with that consciousness, we are so blessed actually to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is non-different from Kṛṣṇa. And we are studying Canto 7, Chapter 15, which is entitled Instructions to the Civilized Human Beings. Basically, for anyone who would like to sincerely understand the message of life, because technically everyone should fall in that category, because civilization just does not mean to have nice hairs or nice clothes, right? It means a lot more. So civilized human being means, as per Narad Muni, so we read till text number 68 yesterday, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking this question, that how come the Grihasthas, which applies to majority of the population, in household life, can they take to the process of bhakti? Is there a way for them to get out of this entanglements? And Narad Muni then explains in great detail what is that process. And in nutshell, the essential aspect is to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Because one who takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, then the whole material world is like a tiny hoof print of a calf, which can you jump over the hoof print of a calf?
No.
No, it's just a little bit calf.
Only a little bit you can jump.
Yes, so you can easily jump over.
Yeah.
So even a child can jump over. What to speak of anyone else? But can you jump over the ocean? Can you jump over the ocean?
No.
No, unless you're a Hanuman. So, which we know we are not. So we can't jump over this material ocean. So the idea is when we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, we can easily cross over and go back to our real home. Now, Narad Muni also said that Pandavas, actually you are great devotees because you always took shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Irrespective of any ups and downs comes in everyone's life. There are always challenges, emotional challenge, financial challenge, relationships, health, etc. Everyone is going through challenges. And now we come to text number 69, which is the point for today's reading. Because who all like to hear stories? Everyone likes to hear stories, right? Now Narada Muni is telling his own story. So there's a separate section of this chapter is starting. So let's study how many verses we can do today. Let's hear this story. Narada Muni's own story from his own mouth from text 69. Aham pura bhavam kasched gandharva upabhramanaha namnati te mahakalpe gandharvanam sumataha sushmataha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Long, long ago, that's how stories begin with, right? Long, long ago, in another Mahakalpa, millennium of Brahma, I existed as Gandharva, known as Upabharana. I was very respected by the other Gandharvas. Report. Srila Narad Muni is giving a practical example from his past life. Formerly, during the previous lifetime of Brahma, Lord Brahma, Narad Muni was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka. But unfortunately, as will be explained, he fell from his exalted position in Gandharva Loka, where the inhabitants are extremely beautiful and expert in singing, to become a Shudra. Nonetheless, because of his association with devotees, he became more fortunate than he was in the Gandharva Loka. Even though cursed by the Prajapatis to become a Shudra, in his next life he became the son of Lord Brahma. The word Mahakalpe is described by Srila Madhvacharya as Atita Brahma Kalpe. Brahma dies at the end of a life of many millions of years. The day of Brahma is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Sahasra yuga paryantam naharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vidu janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Bhagavan Sri Kṛṣṇa can remember incidents from millions of years ago. Similarly, his pure devotee like Narad Muni can also remember incidents from a past life millions and millions of years ago. So, isn't it beautiful? It's the starting of the story. Who is telling the story? Who is telling
Narada
this?
Muni.
Narad Muni is telling. Whose story is it about?
It's about Narada Muni.
It's about Narad Muni. So the word used is aham. Aham means I. Long, long ago. Various lessons to learn here that Narad Muni, being a pure devotee, can remember past, present, and future. We don't know what happened. Like we don't even sometimes recall like 5 days back what I ate in the lunch. You have to like literally think But Narad Muni, millions of years ago, he was whom? A Gandharva. And what is the special quality of Gandharva? They are very, very beautiful. They are very beautiful and they have special singing abilities. Singing like Gandharvas, that's often quoted. Like, if you have to give, like, someone sings very, very beautiful, we say, oh, you sing like Gandharva. That's the analogy given, because they have, and this is in the upper planets, they're not in the earthly realm, they're in the upper planetary systems. So Narad Muni was in that species. Now what happened, I'm not jumping little, so Prabhupada is explaining that we'll see later, he was cursed, but curse also became a blessing because he became the son of Lord Brahma. So earlier he was Gandharva, but then he became later a pure devotee, which we will study. But how did that happen? How he transformed from, he was cursed to be a Shudra, and then he became the son of Brahma. How did that happen? This answer is there in this verse. Through good association of devotees. So Prabhupada is writing here that because of his association with devotees, he became more fortunate than he was in Gandharva Loka. So no matter wherever we are, the association of devotees is the best thing, and there is no better thing in life. So Brahmaji's lifetime is way more than our understanding. Millions and trillions of years in one day. Millions of years as per our calculation. So the story has just begun, that this happened very, very long back in the millennium of Brahma, Mahakalpa, in another millennium, not in this millennium also. So that means another day of Brahma. Brahmaji's one day has 71 Chaturyugas, 71 cycles of Chaturyugas. So one Chaturyuga means? Tell Kṛṣṇa.
1 year.
No, Chatur means 4. Yuga
4
means
years.
Satyuga,
Treta.
Treta, Dwapar and Kali. That's Chaturyuga. So 71 times 4 is approximately, that's many, no, there's another factor, I believe. 14, 71, yes, 71 times 4 is called one Manvantara. And 14 Manvantaras are there in one day of Brahma. So 4 times 71 times 14. So, in short, very long period. So, any comments or questions in this text before we move on? Okay. Who wants to read? Who has not read throughout this week?
Can I read?
You want to read?
Yeah.
Okay. Should I read the verse for you, or you'll read?
I think.
Read.
Okay. Aham.
No, this one. 70.
Okay.
Okay, let me share the screen also. You start. Now put this in your, hold this close to your face. Hold this. Hold this. This is the microphone. Don't press it, it'll cut. Start, Kṛṣṇa. Please start.
Okay. Sarhasya Yuga.
No, Rupa.
Rupa Pesla Madhuraya Sanuga Priyadarshanaha Strina Priyatamo Niyatam Nityam Mata Sav Pura Lampata. Translation. I had a beautiful face and very pleasing, attracting my bodily structure, decorated with flowers, flower garlands, and sandalwood pulp. I was the most pleasing to women in my city. Thus I was bewildered, always feeling lusty desires. Thank you.
From the description of the beauty of Narada Muni when he was one of the denizens of Gandharvaloka, it appears that everyone on the planet is extremely beautiful and pleasing, and everyone decorated with flowers and sandalwood. Upabarahana was Narada Muni's name previously. Uparbahana was specifically expert in decorating himself to attract the attention of women, and thus he became a playboy as described in the next verse. To be a playboy in this life is unfortunate because too much attraction to women will lead one fall into the association of Sudras, who can easily take advantage of mingling with women without restriction. In this present age of Kali, when people are manda, sumanda mataya, very bad because of a Sudra mentality, such free mingling is prominent. Among the higher classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, there is no chance for men to mingle with women freely, but in the Sudra community, such mingling is open. Because there is no cultural education in the age of Kali, everyone is spiritually untrained and everyone is therefore to be considered Sudra. As Sudra, when all the people become Sudras, certainly they are very bad. Manda sumanda mataya. Thus they manufacture their own way of life with the result that they gradually become unfortunate. Manda bhagya. And furthermore, they're always disturbed by various circumstances.
Thank you so much, Kṛṣṇa, and thank you for reading. So, first of all, I feel that there is such a great lesson here that if we go through some challenging situation, isn't it very humbling for Narada Muni to tell this, right? It's very humbling because people like to hide their faults and proclaim themselves as great. But Narada Muni is not like an ordinary person. He is humble that from his example, and he's remembering his mistakes. It's a very great lesson in life that we should always remember our mistakes, not so that we become overwhelmed with guilt, but so that we don't repeat those. Narada Muni is remembering, I had such a beautiful body. I had such good singing, but I was lampata, lusty, running after opposite sex, whether it is man running after woman or the woman running after man. In Kali Yuga, that's what is very, very common, and that's why there are so many problems. Even in the teenage, so many, in fact, to not have such companionship is considered odd. Oh, you don't have a friend, or I don't want to use those words, but I think you're all getting that point that if someone is strictly following the life of celibacy, and that's what the scriptures are telling, that until the marriage, strict celibacy one must follow. But unfortunately, teenage pregnancies, teenage abortions, and free mixing of sexes, the whole culture has degraded. In America especially, and of course in India also now, there are so many relationships outside marriage. There are so many children born outside marriages. There are so many, so the whole dharma is gone. And that's the problem. And especially it becomes more problem when someone has that, that playboy kind of, and Narad Muni is telling, actually I was a playboy kind of, Prabhupada is translating that playboy. So, and Narad Muni is humble. He's remembering his mistake. He's not, and he's telling it in open, to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, there's a great lesson in that story for all of us, that the material energy is very, very strong. So we should always be careful, and otherwise we will be carried away. We'll be carried away. And we know the famous example of Ajamila also. Very nice cultured person, Brahmana, very nice born, since childhood very nicely trained. But when he saw the Shudra couple, then he got so agitated, so allured, and then he gave up his chaste wife, gave up his parents, and killing and murdering and looting and all the wrong habits. Why? Because of agitation, because of allurements, not able to control one's desires, not able to control one's mind, lack of bhakti, all these principles. And in Kali Yuga, there is such agitation available at every corner. We all use internet, we all use YouTube, etc. We go drive, there's so many advertisements. Even if it's a cement advertisement, there'll be a lady with practically no clothes advertising for cement. There's no connection with the cement. And same with any other, whether it's a car or any other thing. Why? Because it's very, I think senior devotee was telling, I don't know, they feel, okay, you buy the cement, other things come free with that. It's all how these are designed to already everyone is lampata, everyone is so attached, but the real shelter is Krishna consciousness. Otherwise we will be carried away. We will be carried away because material energy is very strong. So we have to be always on guard. Padam padam vipadam, there is chances. So we have to see even a great Gandharva like Narad Muni could be allured. So who are we? And that's another reason actually where devotees don't want to go to upper planets. Often people say, I want to go to upper planets, etc. But devotees don't desire there. Why? Because there is chances of falling down there. There is so much allurements there that one will be distracted. So the objective of devotees is to go back home to Vaikuntha Goloka. Any other comments, questions anyone has in this text?
Would you have a question?
Yeah, please.
When Narmanji was cursed to become something different in his next life, he born or from his son, he said that he took association of saintly persons to reach it. Who is this before he was so-called playboy or after?
After, we'll come to that. So the question is that he took association of devotees. So we haven't even reached that point. Right now he's just saying that he was attached to women. So we'll come. Who cursed him, why he cursed him, etc., etc. All that will come. Okay, so let's read the next verse. I think Kirti Mataji wants to read. So please read Mataji, 71.
Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to everyone. Text 71. Ekada deva satre tu gandharva apsaransa gana uphutam vishwa subhir hari gathop gayane. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Once there was a Sankirtana festival to glorify the Supreme Lord in an assembly of the demigod, and the Gandharvas and Apsaras were invited by the Prajapatis to take part in it. Purport. Sankirtana means chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement as people sometimes mistakenly think. The Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life, and the holy name is chanted in all the higher planetary systems, including Brahmaloka and Chandraloka, not to speak of Gandharvaloka and Apsaraloka. The Sankirtana movement that was stated in this world 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore not a new movement. Sometime because of bad luck, this movement is stopped. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servants again start the movement for the benefit of the entire world, or indeed the entire universe. So in this verse, Prabhupada is giving the importance of Sankirtana movement and what is meant by Sankirtana. So he's saying that Sankirtana is the festival to glorify the Supreme Lord, and he's giving the many example, like in the higher planetary system also the Sankirtan goes continuously, like Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, and Apsara. All were doing the chanting of the holy name, and he was present in that festival. That's what Naraji is saying to Yudhishthir Maharaja. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Kirti Mataji, for reading this nice verse. I think you covered all the major points that this is nothing new. This is nothing new. Lord Chaitanya inaugurated this, but even this story is happening where and when? In Gandharva Loka. This episode is happening. So they also were having Sankirtan. And what is Sankirtana? Basically, congregational chanting of the holy names of Lord. Sankirtana. In the association of devotees, Kirtan means to sing about the Kirti. Kirti means glories. Of whom? Of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Name, form, qualities. And the easiest and the best way is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And we were discussing yesterday also that when Lord Chaitanya was doing the Sankirtana, Pashu Pakhi Dure, all the birds and the beasts and the animals, they were also chanting and dancing in ecstasy. So this is nothing new. Here in Gandharva Loka also, all the Apsaras and the Prajapatis and Gandharvas, all are present. So let's see what happens. Everyone congregated for chanting the holy names or to do Sankirtana. But let's see what happened next. Say 72. Who has not read for this week yet?
I just did.
Vishal, did you read?
I would like to read again.
Sure. Just 1 second.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Aham cha gayam stad vidvan stirbhi parivritto gata jnanatva vishva srichastanme helanam sepur ojasa yahi tvam sutratam asu nasta shri krita helana. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Narada Muni continued, being invited to that festival, I also joined, and, surrounded by women, I began musically singing the glories of the demigods. Because of this, the Prajapatis, the great demigods in charge of the affairs of the universe, forcefully cursed me with these words. Because you have committed an offense, may you immediately become a Sudra, devoid of beauty. Purport. As far as Kirtana is concerned, the Shastras say, Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant the glories of the Supreme Lord and the holy name of the Supreme Lord. This is clearly stated. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant about and glorify Lord Vishnu, not any demigod. Unfortunately, there are foolish persons who invent some process of Kirtana on the basis of a demigod's name. This is an offense. Kirtana means glorifying the Supreme Lord, not any demigod. Sometimes people invent Kali Kirtana or Shiva Kirtana, and even big sannyasis in the Mayavada school say that one may chant any name and still get the same result. But here we find that millions and millions of years ago, when Narada Muni was a Gandharva, he neglected the order to glorify the Lord, and being mad in the association of women, he began to chant otherwise. Thus he was cursed to become a Sudra. His first offense was that he went to join the Sankirtana party in the company of lusty women. And another offense was that he considered ordinary songs, like cinema songs and other such songs, to be equal to Sankirtana. For this offense, he was punished with becoming a Sudra. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vishal Prabhu, for reading. So, in this verse, few things are important that Narad Muni is telling that, okay, I was also invited, but because of the bad association, this festival was for Sankirtana, but he was absorbed in women. Was surrounded by women. It's like, going to the temple for ulterior motives, which many people do. Sometimes, people in India, they go to ISKCON temple because there are a lot of foreigners there. That's a very bad motive. So if we go for bad motives, then what will happen? Then Krishna will cheat us. We think we are cheating Krishna. We can hide from others. I can hide from you. Can I hide from the Lord? I cannot hide. So Narad Muni lost his intelligence, or not. He was Narad Muni. He was, what was his name? Ushina? No. Ugandha. What was the name mentioned?
Upabarhana.
Upabarhana. Yes, that was the name. Upabarhana. That was his name before. And lost basically his intelligence and started to sing about the demigods. So the festival is for the Supreme Lord, and then sing the glories of the demigods, and especially these people are already, Prajapatis and all are very, very powerful beings. So even they didn't entertain that. So yes, we should respect, at least we may say the earthly people should respect, because demigods have power. But that doesn't mean that we start doing the Sankirtana Yagya for the demigods. That's the idea Prabhupada is very, very clearly mentioning. Sankirtana Yagya is, and what's the proof? The proof is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Prahlad Maharaj says this. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam
Sakyam Atmanivedanam.
Very good. These are the 9 limbs of bhakti. And it starts with Shravanam and then Kirtanam. About whom? Shravanam Kirtanam Indram. Shravanam Kirtanam whom? Chandram? Suryam? No, Vishnu. Very, very clearly it's mentioned. So that was the offense. And what were the words? Well, you have committed this offense, then you will become Shudra, because you have done a wrong act. So, any comments, questions so far? Okay. Tell.
Okay. So why is Shudras being considered a low class people?
Are Shudra considered low class people? The Shudras are not low class. The activities they do are low class. For example, meat eating, indulging in opposite, like hate the sin, not the sinner. We should not hate any individual, but we should always be, we can hate that. If someone is like killing the cow, that person, we don't hate the person, but we hate the activity. So that's basically Shudra activity. Even Shudras would not kill the cows, but they would kill other animals, etc. or they would indulge in, as we read in the last verse, in free mixing of sexes, etc. So these are Shudra activities. They are not bad, like, because by nature everyone is spirit soul, but they have forgotten that connection and enamored by the external things, they are doing wrong things. Good? Okay. Okay, any other comments? We have one time to read one more verse, so let's do that. Who would like to read? You already read.
Just one more verse.
You don't want to give chance to others. So Jaya Mataji, you want to read? Did you get chance to read this week? Want to read? Who else? Did everyone get chance to read this week?
Can I read, Prabhu?
Okay, read Prabhu. 73.
Hare Krishna. That's 73. Tavadastyam aham yadne tatrapi brahmavadinam shushrushayanushamgena praptoham brahmaputratam. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although I took a birth as a Shudra from the womb of maid servant, I engaged in the service of Vaishnavas who were well versed in Vedic knowledge. Consequently, in this life, I got the opportunity to take birth as the son of Lord Brahma. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead says in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, Mam hi partha vyapashritya ye api supapayo nayah Sri yo vaishyasthatha shudra ste api yanti paragati gati. O son of Pratha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishya, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers can approach the supreme destination. It doesn't matter whether a person is born as a Shudra, a woman, or a Vaishya, if he associates with devotees repeatedly or always sadhu sangha. He can be elevated to the highest perfection. Narad Muni is explaining this in relation to his own life. The Sankirtana movement is important, for regardless of whether one is a Shudra, Vaishya, Malicha, Yavana, or whether if one associates with a pure devotee, follow his instruction and serve the pure devotee, his life is successful. This is a bhakti. Akulyena Krishna nu sila nam. Bhakti consists of serving Krishna and his devotees very favorably. Anyabhi sita shunya. If one has no desire other than to serve Krishna and his devotee, then his life is successful. This is explained by Narad Muni through this practical example from his own life. So this is very wonderful verse, Prabhuji, and two very important points has been listed here. Narad Muni is explaining no matter where you are, which varna you are belongs to, whether it's Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, you can still go and elevate yourself by approaching the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And another important point is to do that, how important is a sadhu sangha. You always teach us the Guru Sadhu Shastra, Guru Sadhu and Shastra. So this is where the Sharanagati should be there. If you really wanted to, they called in this so-called world, upgrade yourself. So I believe This is the two important point has been mentioned here. Narabun itself and Prabhupada has been explaining very nicely. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhuji. So this answers your question. That and this is actually the second time in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Narad Muni is telling his own story. Who knows to whom he told the first time? Now he's telling to whom? Yudhishthira Maharaj. So first time he told his same story, similar story to whom? Vyasdev. Yes, Vyasdev. How, and that time he told a little more detail actually. So he was, the son of a kind of a maid servant in a Shudra family. But his mother was attached to serving the devotees. The devotees would come in their home, and Narad Muni would assist his mother in serving these Bhaktivedantas, as referred in this verse, who were very, very nice devotees. So that's the power of Sadhu Sangha and Sadhu Seva. Because Sangha should lead to Seva. In Sangha, you don't just hang around and talk about political stuff. That is not Sangha. Sangha means Sat Sangha. Sangha means Madchata Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. To talk about Kṛṣṇa, that is Sadhu Sangha. If you talk about movies, politics, and this and that, that's not Sadhu Sangha. Even if we are talking with devotees or... So Narad Muni would also take their remnants. Sad. Vaishnavera Padadhuli, Vaishnavera Jal, Vaishnavera Avashishta, Tino Mahabhal. Three things of Vaishnavas: their Padadhuli, the dust of their lotus feet, the water which has washed their lotus feet, and their Avashishta, their remnants. So Narad Muni would take the remnants of these Bhaktivedantas. And after that, his mother died with a snake bite. There's a very nice drama by ISKCON Party. Some of you may have seen it. It's very nicely depicted, all these stories and how Narad Muni was enamored by Gandharva. And so we see earlier, the bad association led to fall down, and good association led to becoming the son of Brahma. So both example. Ajamil also, bad association led to fall down. Later, even the association of the holy name led to the topmost destination, Narayana. And then the Vishnudutas came, he had their association, and then he went to Haridwar, took sincerely the process, went back home. Prabhupada gives the example of a iron rod. When iron rod is in fire, it's as good as fire. For a long time, if you put the iron rod in fire, and if we touch it, will our hand burn? We'll say it's iron rod. No, it's not just iron rod. It is as good as fire. And similarly, if we put iron rod in ice cold temperature or snow, it will be having the same property. So that's the power of good or bad. Both sides we have many examples. The famous example of Megari, how he was transformed by Narad Muni association. Now Narad Muni, after having the Bhaktivedanta association, he became Narad Muni, and later he transformed thousands and thousands of devotees. So association is very powerful. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra ko, lava matra sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi hoy. Even moment of association of a pure devotee can lead to topmost perfection. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoy Sadhu Sangha. The Mula, or the root cause of Bhakti for all of us is what? Sadhu Sangha. Some devotee met us. Someone said, please come. Please let's go to the temple, or take some prasad, or take some book, or any of the ways. Now one may say, well, I already have Bhakti in my heart. At least the seed is there, Bhakti. Mula. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoy Sadhu Sangha. I don't need Sadhu Sangha now. Then the next line says, Krishna Prema Janmai e Puna Mukhya Anga. The main limb for Krishna Prem is what? Puna means again. Puna Mataji is there. Puna means again. Is Sadhu Sangha. So, Sadhu Sangha in short is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. So, there's so many examples in scriptures, so many examples. And if Prabhupada said, if we think we can practice bhakti alone, and hallucination, it's illusion. We cannot. United we stand, divided we fall. So we need, and based on the kind of association we keep, the kind of qualities we develop, good or bad. So it's a choice. Any other comments so far? And then later he was born as the son of Brahma. So this verse basically tells the transformation. In Canto 1, there are more details as we briefly discussed. Anyone has any other comments, questions, thoughts? Okay, so we will discuss. Mother, do you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, this in verse 71, they say that Sankirtana is, or Harinam Sankirtana is also practiced in upper planetary systems. So this thing brings a lot of joy that on this Mrityalok, we are so lucky, we are so blessed that, we are in this path of bhakti. So this is the, the essence is that Bhagavad Nam is such a precious thing. And being in this material world, we have got a chance for this, Prabhuji.
Thank you. That's a very nice comment. Very nice. Yeah, so there is no need to go to upper planets. In fact, there are more distractions than these examples there. So very nice comment. Okay, we will pause here and continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll read as in Purushottama. This is also important.
Prabhuji, who are these little Mahatmas?
Oh, these
seeing in your skin.
Krishna, the boy who was sitting beside me. He's a son of Sudhir Prabhu, my dear friend and elder brother. So I'm at his home getting his association, and he has trained his children so nicely. So in Krishna conscious, and that's the so thank you everyone. We'll study Brahmaji's prayers tomorrow, and next day we'll hear Prabhupada's lecture, and Srilas Prabhu will coordinate some discussions and quiz based on that. So the announcements are already posted. So please connect tomorrow morning. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Vrinda ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.